Hey, I'm Gathright, and I would like to give you some information and maybe impart some knowledge that I have about the creative songwriting process from A to Z. And because a lot of people ask me that, like, where do the ideas come from, and where does your inspiration come from, and how do you get started? And how do you create the music? Does the music come first? Does the lyrics come first? And so, what I'd like to do today is just go through one of my songs, which is the name of the song is A Little Miss Logical, and that song won first place in the Austin Song Contest. I think in 2016 or 17 with the Austin Songwriters group competition that they put on. And so I thought that would be a good example, and here we go. The idea from a song can come from virtually anywhere, and with me, it does come from a lot of different places. Uh, I've written songs driving down the road. I have one song called Life's a Peach, where they have these peach stands along the road, and they have these signs that lead up to it. And one particular sign said, Life's a Peach. And I just thought that was interesting, so I went home and I started thinking about, so in what ways is life like a peach? So, um, I just thought, it can be sweet, it can be rotten, you just start kind of playing these mind games and asking yourself questions, and that's how a song can get created. Other times, people have said things just off the cuff. One in particular, a friend of mine, Daniel, was having his house was being torn down to build a new one, and he happened to mention that the house is being torn down by a big iron dinosaur, and I just loved that line. I immediately wrote it down and went home and wrote a song about that. Other times, I'll just one of my favorite ways to do something is to just lie in bed. It can be in the middle of the night, it can even be in the middle of the day, but just lie down and clear your mind. Think about nothing. Be no place, be nobody. Uh, don't have any thoughts. If anything creeps into your brain, just let it go and get in a place of nothingness. And to me, that's where a lot of creativity comes from, because I think the brain, it wants to fill up that space, and so it allows it to be creative and imaginative. And when you get everything, all of your worries and anxieties out of your head, that lets your brain fill it in with what it wants to fill it in with. Um, One in particular that I'll mention, I had a song called um, Malambre Mi Amigo. What's the name of the song? Mal Hombre Mi Amigo, which means bad guy, my friend, or my friend, the bad guy. And I just lay down and close my eyes and just let my mind start making a movie. And it happened to turn out to be a Western. And I just imagined a whole movie. And before I knew it, I had this whole thing in my head that when I finally did start writing the song, it was easy because I was really kind of just like reviewing what I had thought about in my head. I'll just read the first verse of this song, because I think it has some interesting things about what I strive for as a songwriter. The first verse says, "He was a man's man. He was a woman's man. He was a killer on a saddle with a pistol in his hand, running from the law and some husbands too. Robbing, loving, drinking was all he knew to do." Uh, what that does that you might want to take note of is it sets the scene in a vivid way. What does it tell you? He was a man's man. It means he was a big guy. He was tough. He was a woman's man. He was also maybe regularly handsome, somebody that women would like. He was a killer on a saddle with a pistol in his hand. Obviously, he's a cowboy. He's probably killed some people. He rides a horse. He's got guns. He's running from the law, possibly some husbands. So he's like, kind of a bad guy, which is the malambre part of it. And it says, robbing, loving, drinking was all he knew to do. So by just within the first 15 seconds, you have a vivid image of who this person is. And that's what I strive for in a song, is being able to immediately tell the listener what the song, who the character in the song is, draw that mental image, and at the same time, a second benefit is like, you get them thinking, like, wow, that sounds like an interesting guy. Maybe I'd like to know more about it. What's this song going to be about? And so that immediately draws them in so that they'll listen to the rest of the song. So, with Little Miss Logical, the way that this started out was at my kitchen table. My daughter was doing homework, and she had solved this problem, and she was really proud of it. So she explained the problem to me, and she explained how she figured it out. So I was really proud of her, and I said, aren't you Little Miss Logical? And so right after I said that, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So I said, excuse me. And so, like I often do, I went and I wrote that phrase down on a Post-it note and stuck it on my computer. Then I went back and spent time with my daughter again. And so later on, when I had some time just to sit back and reflect, I started thinking, so who would this Little Miss Logical be? And I just like to play these games to where I ask myself questions and try to answer them myself. Which, interestingly enough, that's not comparing myself, but Albert Einstein, a lot of the theories, like the theory of relativity that he came up with, those came out of mind games that he was playing. Like, he imagined a person being on a train that was traveling at the speed of light, and another person on a train platform that was observing the train going by. So he imagined what that experience would be like for the person on the platform, and what it would be like for the person in the train. And it came up that what they saw, and actually time itself, was relative to where they were. So And a lot of times, I just, want to have fun, and I just kind of like sit back and let my imagination run wild, and don't have any phones on, and don't be looking at my tablet or anything like that. So Little Miss Logical, thinking about who that she might be, what I came up with, Little Miss Logical, she lays her clothes out neatly on a rack. Imagine, she's got a job, she works every day, so like she's like really precise about what she does. She's got a really neat closet. She lays her clothes out neatly on a rack, one for every day and one spare stack. So she's not only that, but she prepares ahead of time. She's very methodical in what she does. And then wanted to say, she's so punctual, never fails to walk to work on time, counts each step in case she might go blind. So that's probably the extreme, She thinks ahead so far that she counts her steps in case she goes blind, and she has to know how many steps that she takes on the way to work. And then at the same time, I wanted music to be like really rigid too, so I came up with this. Because it's really important to me for the music to follow what the lyrics are saying. You don't want a happy song with sad music, or vice versa. And that has this rhythmic structure to it, like she's walking to work, she's being punctual. It's like, Little Miss Logical, she lays her clothes out neatly on a rack, one for every day and one spare stack. Gee, so anyway, like that, it has that kind of feel. And it even stops playing chords, and the guitar goes along with the melody. Notice how, like, precise. There's no, variance in rhythm or anything. So all of that is to support the notion that Little Miss Logical is this, like, methodical, punctual person. So it wasn't enough for her to be by herself in this song, so I invented somebody called Mr. Pie. And Mr. Pie is someone that, Mr. Pie, he's mathematical. It has to do with the pi, the number. And it's a never-ending number. And so it says, Mr. Pie dreams he'll be a wealthy man someday, lost in thoughts. He dreams his life away. So he's a businessman, and he dreams about, being successful, but, like a lot of us, he gets lost in his thoughts. And sometimes if you think too much and you don't take action, then you're dreaming your life away, because, like, you're living on dreams and you're not living on actually getting something done. So that's the first part of the song. And the next part of the song, I felt it had to change. It was kind of rigid and methodical. And I started thinking about, well, what do I want this song to say? And what I decided that I wanted the song to say was make a statement about people that are so wrapped up in being precise and methodical and, their own dreams. They can be walking down the street and they pass each other and they don't say hi. They're just, like, involved in their thoughts and their dreams, their cell phones or whatever. And it's not like the old days. I feel like when people would smile at one another and say, hey, how you doing? How's it going today, to a stranger? Because people, sometimes scared to talk to strangers. So here's where the song comes together. That's the chorus of the song. And kind of like, I guess Eleanor Rigby, in a way, towards talking about Father Mackenzie and Eleanor Rigby, it has some really specific things. But then when you get to the chorus, it's like, oh, look at all the lonely people. The narrator kind of takes over, and it stops being very specific about the people, and it starts getting to be more about the thought. So the chorus goes, hey. All the busy people passing on the street, possibly a nod but not a word, thinking just about their tiny world. One beautiful accident, heaven sent. You never know what to expect when two worlds intersect. So it has this soaring chorus, which it goes way up, and then it has this possibly a nod but not a word, where it goes back to that rigidity, and then it soars once again, and then it falls off back into the rigidity again. And that, to me, follows the idea of the song. Is you let go for a little while, and then you slide back into being who you were before, and you let go again, and you slide back. And so that brings it back down to the second verse. The second verse, I had to think about, how does Mr. Pie and Little Miss Logical interact? So what happens? And so in my imagination, I thought, well, she's going to work and he's lost in his thoughts. They're walking from opposite directions, and the only thing that would make them change their direction would be a barricade. So I came up with the barricade was in the street, and they both had to take a tour like we sometimes do in life, and they run into each other. So it's like, one winter day, a barricade was put up for repairs. counting all her steps and unaware, little Miss Logical. So purposely, it goes back and references the counting all her steps thing. And so anyway, they bump into each other, and it says, bumped into the dreaming Mr. Pie and caused all his best laid plans to fly. So there it is. Some things in life, you never know they're going to happen, and they just happen. And it happened to Mr. Pie and Little Miss Logical, and he stopped dreaming. Everything flew up in the air, and then it goes back to the chorus again, and it goes back to the more philosophical point that I wanted to get across. So I don't want to take too much of time here, so I'm kind of we'll speed this up. And then the bridge in the song to me should tell the story in a different way. It should say something more profound that's not being said otherwise in the story. And I wanted the bridge to kind of like be this climax, and so I had this little interlude that leads up to the bridge part, and then I finally decided I have so much to say about what happened when they finally ran into one another that it has to be a rap. So I wrote this rap part, and it turned out pretty good. It was like, never thought the day would come when they would find another one to let go and run, to come undone, to have some fun, a new life begun. Now two as one, found love to share with someone. Now they realize, much to their surprise, they opened up their eyes and threw away their skies, and opened up the skies. No obstacle is too high for Little Miss Logical and young Mr. Pie. So I'll play the song in a minute so you can hear all that. Then it goes back into the chorus. You know, all the busy people passing in the street, and tries to drive that home. Just one note, each chorus is a little different from the next. Some of the notes are higher in each chorus, so that each chorus gets a little progressively stronger than the last one, which is just a technique that I love to do. And one thing, I guess I can show you on the computer. I've got the song here. Let me see if I can cue this up for you. I'll point out one thing here. This is the guitar part, and this stays the same throughout the whole song. This is just a really distorted guitar playing basically one note, and I'll play a little bit of that solo. That's kind of like a musical hook, and just like you have vocal hooks, sometimes you have musical hooks. So it starts off that like with that guitar, and then it comes in with the whole thing like this. Little Miss Logical. Okay, and so anyway, it goes through the whole song, and the thing that I want to point out is just right before the very last line of the song. Let me see if I can find it real quick. When two worlds intersect. Oh, there it is, right there. Oh wait, there's a little plunking piano going there. Then there's this. So what this is, I was just having a little fun, and I do this a lot in my songs. I'll put little things in there that people may never notice, and it might be like a little line from a Beatles song, it might be a little melody from a Beatles song, or it might be something that just means a lot to me, being creative, that I don't ever tell anybody about. And that's kind of the case in this song. The theme of the song was two people that coming from different directions, different points of view, that happen to run into one another and they fall madly in love. And so I wanted to try to express that musically at the end of the song. So I do it with this piano part. And what happens is, like, I start with a low note on the piano and then start with a high note on the piano. And the high note starts going down. Da, 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 da. The low note comes up. Da, 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 da. And they're chromatic, which means like just like a half step at a time. And so they're dissonant at first. And then I wanted, as those two notes came together and started to meet, the closer they got together, the more harmonic they became. And this is like, you can barely hear it in the song, but to me it was kind of a big deal. I don't know if you can even hear it when I play it. Let me play it without the music first. See how it ends up in harmony, but it doesn't start off in harmony? So that sounds kind of weird by itself, but then let's put it in with the music. You never... One more time. You never know what to expect. Anyway, I don't know why that's important to me, but it's just a little thing that I do. Anyway, that's the creative process on this song, and I hope you enjoyed it, and now I'm going to play the song for you. Thanks for listening.
Little Miss Logical, she lays her clothes out neatly on a rack. One for every day and one spare stack. She's so punctual, never fails to walk to work on time. Counts each step in case she might go blind. Young Mr. Pie dreams he'll be a wealthy man someday. Lost in thoughts, he dreams his life away. All the busy people passing on the street, possibly a nod but not a word, thinking just about their tiny world. One beautiful accident, heaven sent. You never know what to expect when two worlds intersect. One winter day, a barricade was put up for repairs. Counting all her steps and unaware, little Miss Logical bumped into the dreaming Mr. Pie, causing all his best laid plans to fly. All the busy people passing on the street, possibly a nod but not a word, thinking just about their tiny world. One beautiful accident, heaven sent. You never know what to expect when two worlds intersect. Little Miss Logical, practical, factual, young Mr. Possibly a nod, but not a word, thinking just about their tiny world. One beautiful accident, heaven sent. You never know what to expect when two worlds intersect. You never know what to expect when two worlds intersect.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the song, and I appreciate you watching the video. Just to let you know, the CD that I'm releasing is called Inside My Dream, and it's got 10 songs that are co-produced with Stephen Doster. And I'm really proud of this CD, and I'm asking for people to help contribute to finishing the album, but what I'm offering in return is not only copies of the CD and copies of my previous CD, but other videos like this, where I'm going to go into each song and I'm going to talk about how was this song conceived, what was the inspiration for it, where did the creativity come from, how did that turn into a real song, and I'll even get into Pro Tools and how was the song tracked and recorded, and what were the overdubs, and what was the musical idea behind the whole song. And so I like to share that information with you. And if you will become part of the crowdfunding for Inside My Dream, then I'll provide all those videos and everything for you. So thank you so much for listening. I hope to provide more videos for you that can give you a little bit of insight into the creativity of writing a song, and actually the hard work that goes into having the song produced from A to Z. So thank you, and I appreciate everything so much. Talk to you later.